Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn admits that the Chavez Jr. versus Danny Jacobs card in Phoenix, Arizona was the biggest selling card for Matchroom boxing in the States thus far. 10,000 people, 10,000 seats sold. So he's admitting that selling 10,000 seats was the biggest draw for Matchroom and what Matchroom has done in the States thus far. This is a mission that Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz, June 1st at Madison Square Garden, didn't do more than 10,000 seats, 10,000 sold seats. Obviously, if he's admitting that this is the biggest card in Matchroom history in the United States, that's an admission that Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz first fight. Then Anthony Joshua was then the undefeated, unified heavyweight world champion, British superstar boxer that was claimed to be the face of the sport of boxing. But if Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is doing bigger numbers than Anthony Joshua here in the States, then what does that tell you about Anthony Joshua's popularity here in the States? He says, this is what Eddie Hearn had to say regarding, he was talking about Julio Cesar Chavez quitting, ironically enough, when he made this admission, right? He was talking about the fact that Julio Cesar Chavez is a huge draw. Thus the reason why he wanted to attach himself and his brand and Matchroom to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., okay? Let's just read and look at what Eddie Hearn had to say. This is his admission. By default, Eddie Hearn just debunked the notion that Anthony Joshua was a huge sell here in the States, right? I mean, this is Eddie Hearn's words, right? He goes, here's what Eddie Hearn had to say. Let's just listen word for word what Eddie Hearn had to say. He says, Hearn admitting that 10,000 boxing fans that showed up to watch the Jacob Chavez Jr. card last Friday in Phoenix was by far the biggest attendance for any Matchroom card in the United States. Those fans didn't come to see Jacobs, they were there to see Chavez Jr. If Hearn can put Chavez Jr. on the undercard, he wants to put Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. on the undercard, right? Here's what Eddie Hearn had to say. Mexicans didn't like the fact that he quit, but he's a huge draw, right? So Eddie Hearn just admitted that Anthony Joshua is not as huge of a draw in the States as Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And he's looking to place, he wants to work with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. once again. But he's saying that, you know, it's going to be hard sell seeing as though he quit. You know, so he goes, unfortunately for Chavez Jr., those chances may have gone, but last night was everything I want as a promoter. This is what Eddie Hearn had to say. I'm gonna read this for you again. Unfortunately for Chavez Jr., those chances may have gone by the wayside, but last night was everything I wanted as a promoter. This is what Eddie Hearn had to say. I wish he had sat down on the stool and the doctor said, you can't continue. But when he went back to his corner and said no, it was no mas. And ultimately, he quit. It was a right hand, said Eddie Hearn. What punch caused his nose to be injured? I'm gutted because I thought Chavez had a great opportunity. I'm looking at the crowd and the sales. I'm thinking this kid could be massive. It's gotten to the stage where the only thing he can do is come back on an undercard somewhere. I would probably put him on an undercard, but he can't get the money he's been getting, and he has to come back on a lower level and rebuild his name. So Eddie Hearn is admitting that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is a bigger draw here in the States than Anthony Joshua. And he stated that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. doing 10,000 seats in Phoenix, Arizona was the biggest card in Matchroom history in the United States. There you have it. He has just debunked the notion that Anthony Joshua is this super mega star here in the States. Like I told you guys, Anthony Joshua is a mega star. He's a big fish in a small pond over in the UK when you're comparing him to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder's a big fish in a big pond. Anthony Joshua is a big fish in a small pond. This is not to take anything away from Anthony Joshua, because yes, he is a superstar in his own right. But when you try to compare what takes place here in the States and perceive the sport of boxing and how it's perceived, it's two different things, and how it's perceived in the UK compared to how it's perceived here in the States. So this is why we try to tell people and try to break down. You're comparing apples to oranges when you're talking about Anthony Joshua's star power compared to Deontay Wilder's star power. The sport of boxing is probably top 3 in the UK. It's not top 3 here in the States. We have 4 major sports and 2 minor sports that surpass the sport of boxing as far as interest goes. So there you have it. But that's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Blue Blood Sport TV, baby, from the Empire.